Today, the world remembers a baseball legend. Hank Aaron died at the age of 86. USA Today's Bob Nightingale remembers the career of the Hammer.
Baseball will always remember the greatness of Hank Aaron. Greatness on the field, but off it. He was idolized, respected by so many in the world. It's a man who endured all kinds of racism, unfathomable when he broke Babe Ruth's record back in 1974. He kept those hate letters. Just a reminder that a lot of things have not changed. I spent almost 2 hours with the great man years ago. Tell me about the letters. Tell me about the hatred that still exists in this country. All coming through fruition is what we've seen in the past few weeks. Every year at the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, Hank Aaron would appear, come into the Hall of Fame Museum, and surrounded by his fellow Hall of Famers, taking pictures, just talking to him, knowing how great this man is. Awful day in baseball. Hank was in good health as of recent weeks. His friends of him have talked to him, but yet he had a stroke Friday morning and passed. This is a day everyone knew would come at one point. He's 86 years old, but no one was ready for it on this day. Baseball will remember this day forever. This is Bob Nightingale from USA Today Sports.
Back in 2013, USA Today had the chance to sit down with Hank Aaron. Here's what he had to say about breaking Babe Ruth's record, Jackie Robinson's impact on baseball, and how the game has changed over the decades.
Records are made to be broken, and I've always said that, and I still say, no matter who you are, if the only thing that the record now, that bond hold now, is that kids are not going to play that long. They don't have to play that long. Hell, they make as much money in 2 years as I did in 23. The most money I ever made in baseball, salary-wise, was $200,000. That was the most. And today, these kids make $200,000 in less than an hour. So it's a different, and they don't have to. They're not committed, so they don't have to go out there and play as hard. Just being able to go through what he went through as a man, he had to withstand a lot of things, name calling, threatening his family, and he realized that if he had failed, that it wouldn't have been a Henry Aaron. The easiest part of that whole thing, chasing the Babe's record, was playing games, was playing the game itself. That didn't bother me one bit. The hardest thing was after the game was over with dealing with the press. They just never could understand that. Here come a black player, a young black player from Mobile, Alabama. He's challenging one of the most prestigious records in the world. We just can't have it. So actually, the game itself, when I walked on the baseball field, I had no problem. I guess the hardest thing right now for a young player is to get to know pitches. Today, you may have 4 pitches to pitch a one hitter, and you may have 4 pitches to go out there and pitch from 1 inning to the 5th, from the 5th to the 7th, from the 7th to the 8th, and from the 8th to the 9th. You have 4 different pitches, and I think that's the hardest thing in the world for a hitter to understand, because each pitcher that goes out there got different stuff that he throws. I think you're going to see a World Series, a true World Series. I think you see game being played here, but I think eventually, you're going to see probably the United States playing against Mexico and Mexico playing against it. And I think that's the test now.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. I'm Preacher Mars, host of the SOS, the Shout Out Show. Hope you're having a fabulous Friday, and let that be a pathway into having a fabulous weekend. You just got to see some footage of the late, great Henry Hank Aaron, which I will be dedicating this show to because I feel like in this era of social justice and we want fairness and things, I think I would feel like I was extremely remiss if I didn't introduce to you or remind some of you the extraordinary life that this man lived, but his sacrifices. His sacrifices. And when I say sacrifices, what I'm trying to point out is that this was a humble man. This is a man who lived his life in dignity. This is a man who grew up in the South of the 1930s, Mobile, Alabama. For those that don't know what Mobile, Alabama was in 1930s, guess what? I don't either, and I don't want to know. However, Henry Aaron produced something that's not really talked about enough. So I'm going to dispense with a few things. I normally give the rundown for everybody who's come on the show. For new people on the show, listen, if you're new on the show, I'm making an exception. If it's your time on the show, listen, jump in the comment section. There's some people there. I have to shout them out, but I appreciate you coming on the show. But this is for Hank Aaron. This is for Hank Aaron, who was my sports godfather. You know, long before Kobe Bryant, Kobe Bryant, we lost him last year around this time, and we're gonna have a show about Kobe Bryant. But it's a difference between the two of how I mourn the two. You see, Hank Aaron was my hero as a child. Kobe was not. Kobe was a child when I was a grown man. Furthermore, Hank Aaron was a hero of my father, the hero of my grandfather, and frames a time that a lot of folks just they can't fathom, brothers and sisters. They don't know what that time is, and it's a shame because everything you're going to see about Hank Aaron is about how much of a dignified man he was, which he was, what a great athlete he was, which he was, how he suffered for the cause of black people, he did that. But you're not going to get a full view and understanding that it was the rage within Henry Hank Aaron that made him an amazing example for all of us. It was that rage, brothers and sisters, that for some reason, we overlook. We pacify it now. You know, sports are just sports now. And I'm going to take some of you back. I'm out of my normal uniform, brothers and sisters. I'm wearing a Negro League baseball jersey. And for many of you who started with me, all made me funny back in the day, you remember before I wore the suits, and I did wear the suits, I wore the Negro League jersey. And it was a reminder of Hank Aaron. And at the time, it was a reminder of the contributions of African American Muslims that were being overlooked grossly. And the term for the Negro League, the Hank Aarons, the Buck Leonards, the Satchel Paige, the Josh Gibson, all these people, brothers and sisters, the Effa Manleys, the Negro League says this is for the brothers who played and didn't get paid. The brothers who played and didn't get paid. Let me begin with this. We got stars in the building. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Sultana, thank you so much for helping me pull this show together. Just a shout out, brothers and sisters. We're gonna talk about Hank Aaron, but we also want to give a shout out to Brother Robert Saleh, the first Muslim NFL football coach. He's going to be coaching the Jets. It'll make a lot of dua for him because the Jets are horrible. I also want to give a shout out to my little brother, Dave Chappelle. Dave is ill. He contracted COVID-19, so let's make sure we send him some duas his way. He seems to be all right from what he's telling me. He seems to be okay. He's asymptomatic, not showing any symptoms. But you guys know with this whole COVID thing, it doesn't have to show any symptoms to do damage. So let's make dua. Sister Ika, coming all the way from Indonesia. We appreciate you. We respect you. Again, duas out to the country of Indonesia and the brothers and sisters that are suffering out there. Please send them our duas. Sister Sultana Ali, my sister. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sister, you're right. Brother Aaron made America great. I'm gonna borrow that from you, sister. He made America great. I'm gonna tell you how he made America great for me. He made America great for my dad. He made America bearable for my granddad. He said, great for me, great for my dad, bearable for my granddad. And I'm gonna lay this out in a very concise way. If you guys would just give me a little bit of a little patience, just a little patience. My brother Altaf from Toronto, man, we appreciate you coming on the show as always, man. And yes, sympathies out to the Aaron family. If you looked at some of the tweets that were coming out, there were some athletes that were giving him love. Athletes give him love, particularly baseball players. Love Hank Aaron. But there were dignitaries. There were people like Jimmy Carter and his wife, Stacey Abrams, former Major League Baseball commissioners who are literally heartbroken because they love this man so much. Very rarely you're going to have somebody who's not a religious figure or come in the midst of a certain amount of chaos and make you love him, make you love what he's about, even in that small space when the rest of the world doesn't love him at all. He is a story of consistency. He is a story of ethic. He is a story of a guy who simply worked hard. He worked hard. The big footnote is that he broke Babe Ruth's record. Well, Babe Ruth was a man of athletic talent, but he was a drunkard. And he was a racist. In some regards, he was a murderer. But they hold him up because that record. And when Hank Aaron came around to break the record, let's be clear. He wasn't trying to break his record. He was trying to expand his own excellence. He was trying to expand his own excellence. And at that time, brothers and sisters, in the early 60s, in 74 and 73, black folk weren't allowed to do that. They were fresh out of the Civil Rights Movement, Voting Rights Act, but black people weren't allowed in any open space or capacity to pursue excellence. Case in point, we love Jackie Robinson. What was Jackie Robinson doing? He broke the color line. What did they not let Jackie Robinson do? Pursue excellence. He was an amazing baseball player, but we don't remember him for being an excellent baseball player. We remember him for being a person who solved America's problem on race in sports by reminding them that America on the issue of race had failed miserably, even though they advocated and advertised themselves as this bastion of freedom. We look at Hank Aaron. His story is amazing for a couple of reasons. And let me refresh everybody. Sister Sultana said she wanted to remind me. I appreciate it. Give a shout out to Coach Robert Saleh. There you go. Hank Aaron's history. Sister Sultana. That's why I don't eat Baby Ruth candy bars. Love it. Love you, sister. Thank you. Well, Hank Aaron was actually the first person to have a candy bar named after him, the Old Henry. It wasn't the greatest candy bar, by the way. But you couldn't tell me that, and you couldn't tell any of us kids that ate it. Because if you did, you brought a Baby Ruth around, you're going to get jumped. That's the way it was. But let me talk about Hank Aaron, the man. Hank Aaron, man, is a unique idiom in terms of sports. Now, this might take a little bit of time. It shouldn't. But it might take a little bit of time because a lot of people don't understand what sports is. We see the NBA. We see the NFL. Even back when I was born, way, way, way back, we're going to go back how far? Football and basketball and hockey, they were not America's game. Baseball was America's game. See, the color line wasn't broken during football. The color line wasn't broken during in baseball. In football or basketball or hockey. That happened later. It happened in baseball. It happened in the most important game in the United States. And you'd be proud to know That back then, a lot of people loved baseball. My father loved baseball. You know why I don't have on my Washington Nationals hat? Because this is about Hank Aaron. This is for the brothers who played and didn't get paid. I also mentioned his sister, Effa Manley. Look her up. She was one of the first and only female owners of of a Negro baseball league team. So you begin to see how this thing happens. But Hank Aaron grows up in Mobile, Alabama. They tell the story. He tells the story. 8 kids, one of 8 kids, lived in a house, didn't have indoor plumbing or electricity. At 14 years old, he meets his idol. He skips school to meet his idol. Who? Jackie Robinson. And he tells Jackie Robinson he wants to be a baseball player. Jackie Robinson says, get your education and pursue baseball later. That's what he's supposed to tell him. Well, Henry Hank Aaron left Mobile, Alabama to play baseball for the Indianapolis Clowns. Now, that was another Negro Baseball League team. But here, what I'm saying, y'all, he really wasn't a baseball player. Football was his game. He used to play football for $10 a game. So he signs a contract. Now, this is where I want you guys to work with me here. And this is the magic of Hank Aaron, brothers and sisters. He signs to play baseball. Okay? He's on a minor league team for the Milwaukee Braves. Now, people, the only thing black in Milwaukee was in a square town. It was like one block of black people, okay? It's almost that way now. Highly segregated. He shows up. He plays on a farm team in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, which is on the way to Minneapolis. Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Now, if you want to know about racism, you can go to Eau Claire now. You can imagine what it was back when Hank Aaron shows up there as a young black man, 17 years old. They say talent is overrated sometimes, but sometimes talent wins. And talent was the thing that got him out of Eau Claire. And talent was the thing that got him playing with the Milwaukee Braves. Now, I don't need to tell you guys everything about his statistics. It doesn't make any difference. I'm talking about the man and the body of work. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, little brother. Thank you for coming on the show. We're talking about my hero, yours too. I know it's yours, and your daddy and I used to talk about this man, Hank Aaron. We talk about some of the greatest hitters, just so you know. And Hank Aaron always won. So let me lay this out. Here's a guy, leaves Mobile, Alabama. He dealt with racism his entire life. He shows up to the state of Wisconsin. He plays AAA ball for Eau Claire. He's supposed to stay on AAA ball. Something happens. Somebody that they acquired, I think they acquired somebody from the San Francisco, from the Giants baseball team. He broke his leg. Hank Aaron gets called up. He would have won Rookie of the Year, except for he broke his ankle sliding into a base. Okay. What am I saying here? I'm saying the DNA for genius has been established by Hank Aaron. What people don't realize is for him to win the batting title, which he won batting titles, okay? For him to become the home run king requires 23 years of excellence. 23 years of excellence. His lifetime batting average, 305. You got people making darn near $500,000 a game. As my daddy said, they don't bat their weight. They don't bat their weight. It means that their average doesn't match up to their weight. But my point is, Henry Hank Aaron does this over the period of 23 years. There was a statistic they were talking about. They said if they took away the 750-some home runs from Hank Aaron, he still would have been a first ballot Hall of Famer for Major League Baseball because he was the third in line for hits. The amount of hits, 3,000 some plus hits. Sister Sultana, I'm so sorry that you live in North Carolina. May Allah Bless you on Judgment Day for that one. What's going on, Sister Reed? Appreciate you. Yeah, how you doing, Sister Reed? Appreciate you. Hope everything's going well with the family and that recovery and these du'as so that Shifa is happening. Inshallah. Hope to see you back home soon. Salaam alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What's going on, Brother Samir? Isn't it true he never hit more than 30 home runs? He never hit more than 50 home runs, Samir. He never hit more than 50 home runs, which is really kind of amazing. But he played 23 years. But what people don't say is that he was an all-around athlete. He is the American story in terms of the sports figure. The sports figure that's not with a silver spoon in his mouth. They talk about his father. I think it was on ESPN. Tim Kirchin talked about it. They talk about Hank Aaron's father. Now, here's what they said about it. They asked how did Hank Aaron have these incredibly strong wrists and huge hands. And he told, I guess, Tim Kirchin, he said, well, he got those from his father. He said his father used to be a boxer. And he said his father used to be a boxer, but his father's job, what he would deliver ice. Now, when I say deliver ice, brothers and sisters, I ain't talking about going to the gas station, paying for it and pull it out of a bin. That's the way you be getting ice. Originally, when you got the ice, what you would do, brothers and sisters, is an ice truck would come and deliver it to you. And the ice man would get these big blocks of ice and use ice tongs, lock them in, and they would bring the ice up. And it built Hank Aaron's wrist up. They said he had the most unique pair of wrists ever. And why they were saying that is this here, brothers and sisters, because it generated incredible power. They say, and I'm not sure, they say when he came to Major League Baseball, he held the bat wrong. He actually crossed it over instead of like this. He crossed it over, and he was still efficient as a hitter. That's right, they nicknamed him the Hammer. Now let me throw this out so it can be really, really clear. At the time Hank Aaron is coming up, there's no protection from racism. There's no protection from racism. He has two stories that I remember. The first story is when he was young and they went to Washington, D.C. for a game behind Griffith Stadium. Now, y'all, I'm dating myself because before the Nationals, there was actually a baseball team in D.C. there called Washington Senators. So mark that down, history lesson. But they said the team came to eat at a restaurant. They ate at a restaurant. While they were sitting there, they heard crashes in the back. And Hank Aaron, a very young Hank Aaron, recognizes that the people are breaking the dishes that they ate off of. They're breaking the dishes that they had the dinner off of because they would rather break the dishes than wash them because black people are eating off those dishes. As he said, they would rather wash the dishes and let dogs eat off them. They would eat after dogs off those plates rather than a black man. So but here's the thing, though. He takes all of that anger, that disillusion, but he's still focused. He's still focused. And he carries that all the way. And this is the model of consistency. Because we hoop and holler about social justice. My biggest issue about social justice and people who holler about it is like, consistently, can you get up and do it every day? And he got up and did it every day. Now peep this. As he gets closer and closer to the record of Babe Ruth, he realizes that America hates him. The majority of America, not black Americans, but the rest of America hates him. And in one of the rare interviews, he talks about the fact that the country he had given so much to, they took the game away from him that he loved. They took the game away from that he loved. They didn't love him anymore because they thought he was going to break the record of a white man. They took the game away from him because they didn't want to see a black person break a record and emphasize that within me as a black person, I have excellence. I have drive. I have consistency. And this is 1974, brothers and sisters. I'm seeing this as a young kid. You know, I talk about Kobe Bryant. incredible ball player, incredible athlete, like Kobe Bryant, and we like Kobe when he stopped playing because he stopped playing. He was a different person. Hank Aaron was always the same person. You never heard his name in any foolishness, in any dirt, any salacious rumors, anything like that. He was a man, brothers and sisters. Just like Muhammad Ali, he was a man. Let me tell you how deep it goes for Hank Aaron. Muhammad Ali says, Hank Aaron is the only man I ever admired or idolized other than myself. Now we know him idolize himself, but it's a deep compliment. Because if you take Muhammad Ali and he stays Cassius Clay, and he's not Muhammad Ali the Muslim, I don't know if we're even talking about him like that. Hank Aaron was a man who just stayed on top of his job. And I tell folks this, and I don't want people to get upset about what I just said about Muhammad Ali. Love Muhammad Ali. Everybody knows that. But think about what I just said. In the 60s, Muhammad Ali wins the championship from Sonny Liston, and he doesn't declare, I am a black Muslim. Are you really talking about him? Are you really having conversations about him? Or he just in a long line of other boxers that had a title? Muhammad Ali found his purpose. I say his purpose found him. And I want to say this with the clearest of intentions. Hank Aaron's legacy, brothers and sisters, is despite all the accolades, all the things that could have driven him crazy, all the people that loved him, but more so the people that hated him, the people that tried to take the game away from him. There's a story, and there's an interview, you can see it, where he's talking to young kids. And he reads one of the letters, because they say he was getting 3,000 plus hate letters. I don't know if it's that many, but I remember him as a kid reading this letter. And it said, Dear Hank Aaron, it said, it's 3 things you can't give a nigga. A black eye, a fat lip, and a job. Black eye, a fat lip, and a job. And it doesn't stop there, brothers and sisters. They're not going to put it out on the news, but Major League Baseball treated him that way too. The manager at the time of the Milwaukee Braves said he shuffled around the bases. He loped around the bases. They compared this man, the greatness in this man, to Stepin Fetchit. Stepin Fetchit, who was described as the laziest Negro in the world. Stepin Fetchit. And it had to hurt, but he had to take it. More so than Jackie Robinson. More so than a lot of people. Because he had to see it planned through. And let's be honest, without a Jackie Robinson, there isn't a Hank Aaron. But then again, I'm like, really? Maybe there is. Shout out to Mary Moss, who used his strength to hit balls and mentor Jackie Johnson. He mentored him too. Yeah. But I'm saying the man's a giant. And I'm taking this part of the show to remind myself and educate people that these guys, particularly in the Muslim community, you need to know that these are giants that contributed to everybody's well-being. We love Muhammad Ali, but do we talk about Hank Aaron? Nope. Muhammad Ali went to Hajj? Yes. But before Muhammad Ali, it was this man. This man is who Muhammad Ali looked up to. And there are pictures. There's a story in the Muslim Journal. I think Sultana sent something in the Muslim Journal about Henry Hank. Who is Muhammad Ali looking up and adoring? He's adoring Hank Aaron. Because he knows what Hank Aaron went through. And Hank Aaron wasn't flashy. He didn't sell poetry. He didn't sell himself. He just did the work. That model of consistency that all of us can learn from. Beginning with myself. All of us can learn from it. And people still don't know the greatness of this guy. Hank Aaron was really, I believe, brothers and sisters, I think he was the first black athlete, the first real black athlete to get a major endorsement deal. Not a sponsorship, endorsement deal. from Coca-Cola. There's a thing on Netflix. I don't even know if it's still up. It's called The Black Godfather. The story of Clarence Avant. Clarence Avant was a mover and shaker. Everybody knows that in the show business. May Allah bless and keep him, preserve him. But Clarence Avant was so upset that when around the time Hank Aaron was supposed to break this record, nobody was doing anything for Hank Aaron. No one was doing anything for Hank Aaron. And Clarence Avant went to the head of Coca-Cola, no appointment, went to the head of Coca-Cola and said, you better do something for this man. He said, this is a shame. This is an abomination. He said a whole lot of other things. I wasn't in the room. But the nature of Hank Aaron was so powerful in Atlanta, because he left Milwaukee and went to Atlanta because they bought the team. But in Atlanta, brothers and sisters, the Coca-Cola company gave him an endorsement contract that when he hit the home run, he had an endorsement deal for, at the time, it's outrageous, $100,000 plus. Let me tell you why this is important. His whole career, the most money he ever made playing baseball was $200,000. He's got an endorsement deal just for swinging the bat. Not putting people on base, not putting balls over the fence. I mean, everybody knows he can smack the cover off the ball. But my point is, look how much people have overlooked this man. He's a civil rights activist, hands down. Long-term ambassador for the Atlanta Braves. We're talking 40-some years after he started playing baseball, after he retired. And his I want to say his legacy and his imprint on, you're going to start seeing a lot of people who are going to react. You know, your LeBron Jameses and folks like that, you know, some of these big stars are going to have to take a step back because they don't understand history in some regards. They haven't connected history. You know, they're not going to realize that you got free agency and stuff like that without a Curt Flood. And Curt Flood comes from where? The era of Hank Aaron, but he comes after Hank Aaron. You know, you have this type of development. You have this type of just story and intelligence that we're not really looking over. We're not really engaging like we should. You know, the idea of the Negro Baseball League is that you had players who played the game and developed through their talents and their skills, developed on merit. Samir just said something really important about Hank Aaron being the home run king. And I'm going to say this, and I want anybody to get upset. To me, Barry Bonds is not the home run king. It's just not. Okay? He juiced up. He admitted to juicing up. I would have accepted him as the home run king if he admitted that he juiced up. But he didn't. That's why he's not in the Hall of Fame. And most likely won't be in the Hall of Fame. He's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. He won't be a 10th ballot Hall of Famer. They're not going to let him in. And the reason they're not going to let him in is because he has to measure up against the Hank Aaron that did it the right way. So let's just talk about doing it the right way. Just for a short period. Now let everybody go. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What's going on, E. Carter? Happy Friday, brother. Thank you for coming on the show. Our topic, we're talking about Hank Aaron, brother. If you got something about Hank Aaron, put it in the comment section. Well, let me add this about Hank Aaron. Baseball, when I was coming up, was really the predominant sport. You know, I can't find guys around my age who didn't somehow put on a glove or mitt or baseball cap. You remember all the stupid baseball pictures you took, the bat on your shoulder like you're going to hit something? And they're littered throughout our archives, if you will. I know my mom has several pages. I have an uncle who's in a baseball uniform as a manager. I'm like, he didn't even play baseball. But that's how important it was to the thing. See, it was boxing back then and it was baseball. boxing and baseball. You know, Joe Louis defeating Max Smiling was a race moment. Jackie Robinson breaking in Berry is a race moment. And I'm going to add this: Hank Aaron breaking a record that was considered unattainable was unacceptable. It freaked people out. It was the equivalent then as Obama becoming president a couple years ago. Think about that. I'm just saying, think about that. Because people couldn't see it. And people wanted this man dead. They would rather see him dead rather than pursue his own independent excellence. Because the issue is, once he broke Babe Ruth's record, he didn't stop playing baseball. He continued to play. Because that's what guys do when they love the game and they're great at the game. Samir, what you got, brother? Yeah, but everybody was juiced up. They all told on each other. You will never hear a story. Dig this. You're never going to hear a story about Hank Aaron using anything but hard work. You're never going to hear a story about Hank Aaron being disrespectful to people. You're never going to hear anything about Hank Aaron disrespecting the game. Do you know, the man he lived to be 86 years old. He had every right to be angry outwardly. He had every right to snap back at people. He had every right to be selfish, brothers and sisters. He had every right to self-promote in this situation. I just told you the story of Clarence Avant going in and getting him a contract with Coca-Cola to celebrate him breaking his record. Hank Aaron would have never done it himself. That's how humble he was. And the problem is with sports and even social justice these days, people are not humble. Shut up, do your work. Shut up, do your work. I'm tired of trying to celebrate people for doing what they're supposed to be doing. Oh, he's a good one. Listen, you know, I love my mom, I love my dad. I'm going to tell you something, though. It wasn't no breaking of opening a champagne and confetti for doing what you're supposed to do. Real talk. They follow the model of Henry Hank Aaron. That's who they follow. My grandmother followed it. My grandfather followed it. And there's such a disconnect between the athletes we see now and the athletes that were back then. Many of you, not many of you, but some of you saw Hank Aaron play. I saw Hank Aaron play on television. I remember when he broke the record. It was April 1974. And I openly remember rooting for him to do so. Wanting him to do it. Because I heard so much about Babe Ruth, but I never saw Babe Ruth play. He was a myth to me. But this black man, this is the type of guy, if he wasn't playing baseball, you walk down the street, see him cutting his grass. If somebody, an elder needed some help, he'd be the one to help him. He never lost that. And he may have felt dejected or rejected or people forgot him because he wasn't that guy. You know what I mean? Because he wasn't that guy. He wasn't loud, he wasn't boisterous, but he was just consistent. Got a comment from Samir. What's it say? Remember that pro wrestling was segregated until 1992 when Ron Simmons was the first recognizer. Now, Samir, I'm push back a little bit. It wasn't. He was the first black champion. It wasn't segregated though. They had Tony Atlas. They had Bobo Brazil. They had I said Tony Atlas, Bobo Brazil, Jimmy Superfly Snuka. I think they had. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they had The Rock's dad. His father was a wrestler. The Great Kabuki. So they had all these guys. It was just, but you're right though. He was the first one to win a championship. You know, he was the first one to win a championship, and they've had black champions after that, but it wasn't segregated. They had different. Of course, you had the WWF back then, or WWE, but it was WWF back then before they changed the name. WWF. They had the NWA. They had the AWA. Now this is me living on the East Coast, so NWA was like Atlanta. So it's like, this is it's true, and I hear the whole thing about being a black champion, but it was not segregated. I'm gonna throw that out. They didn't get opportunities to be champions until later, but it wasn't segregated. Championship by example. You know what? That's a great Doug. Welcome to the show. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That's a great. You need to trademark that, man. Trademark. That's a great quote. I think it's a very concise understanding of Hank Aaron. Think of this, brother. You know, a performer at 23 years, 23 years in the league. And we're not talking about what he did in the minors, but 23 years in the league, and you establish a level of excellence. And I'm going to tell you how dope this was. I came to start school at Marquette University in 1984. 1984. Now, keep in mind, Hank Aaron had broken the record for home runs 10 years earlier. He retired 2 years after that. His imprint on the city of Milwaukee is still there. You start talking about heroes in Milwaukee, that people automatically go to the Milwaukee Braves, and they're going to talk about Hank Aaron. And they're going to talk to you about Hank Aaron in glowing terms, but the fact that Hank Aaron was accessible. You know, Milwaukee's very segregated now. But I told you guys he had to play AAA ball at Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Oh my gosh. Just like Sister Sultana was talking about living in North Dakota, that might as well be North Dakota South. But how do you hold on to that, brothers and sisters? The things they're not going to talk about Hank Aaron is just his belief in God, his belief in family, his belief in fairness, his belief in dignity. You know, his championship by example, number 44, but his dignity in existence. You know, we celebrate a lot of things, but this one right here hurts a little bit. You know, I was sad when Kobe Bryant passed, and I think that was him passing, but it was also the fact that he lost his daughter. So we didn't get to see the whole package. But Hank Aaron transcends sports. We get to see him winning at different levels, and I don't know if people talking about that enough. We see him win at certain levels. We see him winning coming out of Mobile, Alabama. As a 17-year-old kid, he leaves. He tells the story of having no money in his pocket and all of his belongings in 2 bags or something like that. He wins in a space he's not supposed to win. In Eau Claire, Wisconsin on AAA team. He gets bought up to play for the Milwaukee Braves. They don't like this man. They despise him. This is Milwaukee in the 50s. Brothers and sisters, this is Milwaukee in the 50s. I can't even tell you how racist it was in the 50s. We ain't talking about happy days, okay? But at every level, he wins. To the point, brothers and sisters, former Major League Baseball Commissioner Bud Selig, who owned the Milwaukee Brewers, openly raved about how much he loved Hank Aaron. And that he loved Hank Aaron so much, he found every way to keep Hank Aaron attached to the city of Milwaukee and the Milwaukee Brewers baseball team. That's how much he loved him. And so, as we begin to wrap this up, the question I have for you, for my viewers, and the question I have for myself is, why can't we be like Hank? Consistently doing a job, winning, but having that dignity. And I don't mean just for ourselves. I'm talking about as a collective. Because everything is so divided. You know, Samir talked about McGuire and Sammy and all those guys hitting home runs back in the day. But you know what? They're disgraced baseball players. They'll never get into the Hall of Fame because they admitted juicing. They cheated. Why are we not celebrating Hank Aaron? You know, in the era of Sammy Sosa and McGuire and Bonds, who's another black man. but you cheated. And instead of focusing on a man who didn't cheat, a man who did it the right way, we sensationalize people who cheated, who skipped steps, who decided to overlook things like fairness and hard work to get an end result. So as a closeout, brothers and sisters, I think it's really, really important to celebrate Hank Aaron, hammering Hank Aaron, and do a little due diligence. He's not here to tell his story. Read a little bit about Hank Aaron. Appreciate who he was. Why? Because we're never going to have another one. Much the same as when Muhammad Ali passed away, we all knew, brothers and sisters, that we weren't going to have another one. And this is the one we need to cherish. You know, we had a lot of losses in baseball. Significant characters, Tommy Lasorda, Phil Niekro, Bob Gibson, Lou Brock. Significant characters, brothers and sisters. But the truth of the matter is, and I'm not being funny, none of them are going to be as revered as Hank Aaron. That's my show, brothers and sisters. I hope I did say something inspiring. You know, in loss sometimes you get inspired. And I just remember hearing the news about Hank Aaron passing away, and it wasn't a grown man in his emotions about to cry. It was a little kid. It was a little kid who saved up his money. My mother gave me money to go to the store and buy candy, and I felt a connection buying the old Henry bar and giving them to my brother Rick. And we ate the old Henry bar, and we would play baseball thinking that we were Hank Aaron hitting home runs, but we weren't even on real fields. We were playing baseball with wood bats and tennis balls. But you couldn't tell us, as we rounded the base, you could not tell us that we were not Hank Aaron, and Hank Aaron was not us. Last word to Sister Tana. Ebbetsfield in Brooklyn. That's right. You right there. But Sister Tana is from New York, so she knows exactly what I'm talking about. Ebbetsfield, originally, this jersey right here, it says Ebbetsfield. There you go. It says Ebbetsfield right there. Ebbetsfield right there. That's a real jersey. That's what it does. Sadly, the bar was a namesake. Yeah, I don't even know if I think you can get them. My father gets these old like candy bars that like out of print, you can't find them anywhere. And then I'm like afraid to eat them because I think I'm gonna poison myself. But I digress. Listen, everybody. I hope you're off to an excellent weekend and you enjoy yourself. If you're around this weekend, I'll be around this weekend. So take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Love you, Hank. Bye-bye now. Hey, everybody, this is your brother, Preacher Moss. Listen, I hope that you enjoyed your Shout-Out Show experience. We'll be back with the next show, the next Shout-Out Show. A simple ask before you go, please help your brother out. Click that subscribe button, click that notify button, and I'll see you again on this side of the microphone. You probably wonder what that smell is. That's me. I smell good. And the reason I smell good is because I use oils from Tarif Attar. So I'm not saying you can't smell good. I'm not even saying you stink. I'm saying you have the opportunity to smell exquisite. Check out tarifattar.com for some of the best oils and scents in town.